everybody, Troy here. Today we're going to have a look at the newest RPG that I just recently added to my RPG collection. This time we're looking at Broken Rooms, and Broken Rooms is a game developed and published by Greymalkin Games. Now, Greymalkin Games is the company that brought us Desolation, which is a game that uses the Ubiquity system. This has no relation to that. This is its own entity all upon itself, and as it says here, it's a role-playing game of parallel worlds. So in this game, in 2002, there was a divergent event, at which time our Earth split into 12 additional versions of Earth, all of which are very different. And as we scan in here in our table of contents, we can look at what those differences are. So Earth 1 is the ordinary world. It's the world we know. Vanished is a place where humans, or the majority of humans, have disappeared from the planet, and only a very small percentage of people remain. The Fall is an event where there's an asteroid event, and it causes a nuclear situation, as you can imagine. Invasion is just that. It's an alien invasion event on Earth. Stillborn is a situation where only a small percentage of women is able to give birth to children. And as such, there's a dystopian society created in which those women are, in essence, prisoners. Hothouse is a climate event where the solar flares or something of that magnitude has created a hot Earth. Icebox is just the opposite. It's the early stages of Earth going through another ice age, and everything is very frigid and cold. Struggles to live in that climate as well. Dread is a scenario where there's a black hole found in our solar system coming towards Earth, and death to everyone and everything is imminent. Deadwater is a scenario where scientists created nanobites to fight off pollution in the Pacific Ocean. These nanobites mutated and created a nanovirus. In essence, this is a zombie apocalypse type scenario, but with a little twist. Howdy's is a scenario where the power and electricity is all gone on Earth, and as such we're living in a pre-electricity lifestyle. Afterlife is a very cool scenario where it is known that there is an afterlife. So if you can imagine, if it's absolute truth that there's an afterlife, what scenarios would play out in a world where that is taking place. Invisible is a scenario where there's these invisible monsters that are feasting on humanity, and the twist is only children are able to see these monsters, and as such these children are recruited into basically a military to fight these monstrosities. The Wreath is the final Earth, and in this one anything goes. It's a bit of a mystery still, even for the nearsighters that have traveled here. Nearsighters, now what is that? Nearsighters is a term used for the individuals that have a anomaly in their hindbrain, which allows them to access these different Earths. And these different Earths are accessed through thresholds, or the thinning of the veil, if you will, that's known as Broken Rooms. The book is very good. The setting is phenomenal. The physical book itself, as I said, is hardcover with black and white pages and black and white art, most of which is photographs that have been run through filters. The paper is very thick. The font is large, and it is easy to read. It uses a system called the Momentum system, which I personally have not seen before. It's a D12 dice pool system in which a character has a stat for physical, a stat for mental, and a stat for spiritual, and you can decide which is your primary stat, secondary, and tertiary, of which will determine the number of dice you get to roll in the dice pool when you're doing skills relative to those attributes. There's the skill system, is one in which you spend points in order to improve your ability within that skill. For instance, if you're unfamiliar with a skill, you need to roll 10s on your D12 in order to be successful. If you're familiar, you need to have 9. If you're skilled, you need 8. If you're professional, you need 7, etc., etc. So you spend the points where you want to be, where you want your character to be focused in skill-wise. In addition to skills, there's also something called meridians. Now, meridians is the psionic abilities or magic system of this game. There's rules that affect spending points again from momentum. Momentum is the secondary part of the skill system, in which when you're rolling your dice pool of d12s, if any two of those dice add up to 13, you generate a currency called momentum that you can then use to roll additional dice or to spend to power your meridians. Now, there's different schools of magic, these different types of meridians. Let's look at one of these characters, for example. Madeline here is a blocker. Now, a blocker is a specific type of meridian user. It's basically like a character class, but not really. Father is a reader. These are just character examples. And Trent is a breaker. Now, breaker will be someone that can use their psionic or mental capabilities to destroy people or things. So it's a physical, aggressive use of the power. Now, there are several of these, and you can get better at them and open up more skills as you progress through your character's life. After you progress a certain distance into your journeys, you can open up secondary meridians as well. So, here we go. So the book fully fleshes out the setting. It fully fleshes out the setting and all the terminology. Rules for combat. As you see, the art is consistent, most of which is photographs, but it works for this game. It's not going to blow your socks off or anything, but I don't know, it's not jarring. Another scenario or another situation in the game is called First Fall. This is when your individual PC had a traumatic experience, and that traumatic experience causes you to slip into one of the other alternative Earths, and as such you'll have your first experience with your capability of doing so. Every character has a first fall, and it's something that really helps with role-playing your character. Most of the time it's traumatic experiences that causes an individual to have this life-altering experience. So there's faction in play in the game, one called Monarch, the other called Regency. Each with their own motives and operandi. It's all fully fleshed out here in this book. Each of the different settings is also broken down into what looks like these types of write-ups and reports that have been given by the two factions and organizations. So there's still a lot left for the GM to make their own, but there's plenty here to use as a staple for building your setting and your game on. Now, each of these in their own right can be used for a game world, a game setting, or you can have it such that your players are agents trying to travel and to obtain as much distance as possible. Distance being the amount of Earths you've traveled to. As you travel to more and more Earths, you gain more and more power, more and more momentum or depth, which will allow you to become more powerful psionic, but at the same time, the further you get away from your Earth of origin, the odder and more strange that environment seems to you. So here we go. Quick look at broken rooms. I suggest if you want to learn more about the finer details of the terms I've used, meridians, things like depth, distance, the setting, I suggest you go look at Ivan Mike 1968 site here on YouTube. He does a very good job of breaking down the setting. Cheers.
Let's go back.
Loud.